Good rising, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys from California. Before I begin, I'm going to give all praise to the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the Earthly Mother. Who is wisdom? Who is the Holy Spirit? Acknowledge Yahushai. I pray the Most High bless this lesson this evening. Gives more knowledge and understanding of the events of the past in order to understand the events that are currently happening on the earth. So we get a much better understanding of the things that are soon to come on the earth. This crafty council is much deeper than we ever imagined. I've said it multiple times, but the Most High never ceases to amaze me by showing you how deep this crafty council has been. All of these other nations knew about the fourth part. And actually, some people from the three parts were coming to live on the fourth part. So much so that some of these governments at the third and the three parts had to make laws so that their people didn't all leave their lands over there in so-called Europe and those Greek areas, so that, they could maintain their cities and civilizations over there. There are many accounts of the lands and what they look like over here. The whole world knew about Mayak, the lands that were the first to rise from the depths of the ocean. So, since pretty much the whole world knew about these lands, when they went and took them over, and they started the whole notion that these lands were we never knew they were here. We had no idea these lands were here. There was nobody living here. Those Native Americans that were here, they were just backwards people who didn't have any knowledge of whatsoever. True knowledge has started over here in the three parts. They all have to be confederate with the lie. So the fact that they all are going with that story shows you that Psalms 83 was and still is alive and well. When stuff was sent to, artifacts were sent to museums, they would hide the artifacts in the basements of the museums and never display them, showing the great things that happened here, the great things that were made here, invented here in the Americas. The museums were like, oh, nobody wants to see that. That's not something that the people want to see. There's no interest in seeing, the great artifacts from the Americas. See, they don't want to see that because then it's in their face that they've been lying about the greatness of these lands. And they also are doing these things because they're trying to make it seem as if prophecy revolves around them. Prophecy revolves around the three parts. That the fourth part is only going to get destroyed. And that there's no such thing as prophecy about America. Only that it's going to be destroyed. That's all that they say. Not the greatness of these lands. Because they want to be great. And they weren't here originally. So therefore they got to pretty much take the greatness that was here and apply it to themselves. And everyone has to go along with it. Damn the facts. Damn the facts. Damn all the evidence of the greatness of the people that were here. Damn all of that. If you want to be part of my group, you're Psalms 83. You've got to take crafty counsel against the hidden ones. Why are we hidden? Because no one wants to acknowledge who we are. No one wants to acknowledge our greatness. So you have to hide who we are. You have to hide our greatness in order for you to step in to our shoes. So let's read that real quick. Psalms 83, verse 2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. So they're all consulting against us. They're consulting to not admit who we are and how great we are. And that goes for anyone that is still pushing the three parts has something to do with prophecy. These people have nothing to do with prophecy. They're just trying to make up things to inject themselves into our book and into our, our history and our future. So again, they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people. Okay? And consulted against thy hidden ones. And the only reason we're hidden is because they say things like, all these artifacts, nobody wants to see these. All this information that comes out, nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear about what happened here. No one wants to hear about the history before Columbus. See, that Florentine Codex, 12 books, I saw on sale today for $4,000. There's one set, a whole set for $3,500, one set for $3,850. And all this is pre-1492. Pre-Columbus. And these 12 books are worth $4,000. These works are where they're pretty much asking $333 for each book. Because that goes to Psalms 83. They'll say, oh, nobody wants to hear about the Florentine Codex. Nobody wants to hear about the history from the words of the Native Americans. Let's just bury that information in the basement of a museum. Let's never talk about that because we want to keep those hidden ones hidden. But that's not going to happen anymore. So they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. We don't want to hear about your greatness. We don't want to hear about the greatness of the Americas. We don't want to hear about the greatness of your nation. We have cut you off from being a nation. You're no one. You're African American. You're stuck in between two continents where neither group wants you. The Constantine Christian Americans don't want you. The Hamite Africans don't want you. So you're just stuck in the middle with no one giving any kind of recognition to you as a person. That's what they've done. So we're going to let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. The fact that these lands are ours, that is not in remembrance. Even if they know it, they're not going to admit it. This is why no one comes after this truth. This is why no one comes after this information. Because they can't. Because that will open up a whole can of worms that they are not prepared to talk about. See, the Most High and the Holy Spirit have prepared us for this fight, for this battle. Their spirits can't prepare them for anything because they're not dealing with the Most High. All they're dealing with is this hiding information, ignoring information, because the truth is not in them. That's why they don't have any confidence to come after this information. They don't even have confidence to have a conversation about this information. Because all they've done is hide books, hide information, put it in the basement of a museum, say that no one is interested in that. Well, we are, because this is our information. You're interested in just hiding it. We're interested in bringing it out, which is what we're going to do right now. Love this picture right here. Look like the Grand Canyon. Our people, our history, hidden. And the Holy Spirit bringing it to us now. She's been sent to bring all things back into remembrance. And that's why Gentiles can't say they have the Holy Spirit, because they can't go to the scriptures and say, give an example of how what they're talking about is the Holy Spirit bringing things back into remembrance, because they're the ones that have been responsible for hiding everything. So we get into Queen Mu. When at the impulse of the instinct of the self-preservation, men linked themselves into clans, tribes, and nations, history was born, and with it a desire to commemorate the events of which it is composed. The art of drawing or writing was then invented. The incidents regarded as most worthy of being remembered and preserved for the knowledge of coming generations were carved on the most enduring material in their possession, stone. And so it is that we find today the cosmogonic and religious notions, the records of natural phenomena and predominant incidents in the history of their nation, and that of their rulers, sculptured on the walls of the temples and palaces of the civilized Mayas, Chaldeans, and Egyptians, as on the sacred rocks and in the hollowed caves of primitive, uncivilized man. It is to the monumental inscriptions and to the books of the Mayas that we must turn if we wish to learn about the primeval traditions of mankind, the development of civilization, and the events that took place centuries before the dim mist recorded as occurrences at the beginning of our written history. Historians, when writing on the universal history of the race, have never taken into consideration that a man in America and the role that in remote ages American nations played in this world stage, and the influence they exerted over the populations of Asia, Africa, and Europe. See, we, just like today, exert, pretty much influence on everyone. Our nation, when we were here in Mayak, we were here on Turtle Island, we exerted, right? Influence on everyone. And that we do the same thing today. Even in our lowered condition, you still want to be like us. Even in our lower position, you still, succumb to our influences. The things that we bring out, you follow. Because we are the trendsetters. We are the ones with the spirit. We're the ones with the soul. So therefore, you copy what we do. It's a micro level and a macro level. When we were in our nations and we were at the top, everyone wanted to be like us. That's why so many of our practices are worldwide. But you wanted the Catholic Church and the people in the three parts, they wanted their opportunity to be on top. So therefore, cut off the head. Cut off the head of the snake. Cut off where you're getting the knowledge and understanding so that you can play the role of being the head while we were suffering our punishment. So again, American nations played on this world stage and the influence they exerted over the population of Asia, Africa, and Europe. Still, as far as we can scan the long vista of the past centuries, the Mayas seem to have had direct and intimate communications with them. We had direct communications with all these places, just like the superpowers today have communications with, their colonies. Same thing. This fact is indeed no new revelation, as proved by the universality of the name Maya, which seems to have been as well known by all civilized nations thousands of years ago, as today that of the English. Exactly the same thing. They just copied us. So what they had they're pretty much their civilization. They had their colonies where the sun never set on the colonies of England. That's exactly how it was for us. Sun never set on our colonies. That's why if you look up information about Chichen Itza, the pyramids there at Castile, and the ones in Egypt, how they mirror each other, how they're aligned to the stars and all these things. So when one goes down in one place, it goes up in another one of these pyramid areas, because that shows you how they're connected. Because they were a civilization of our people. It's like we knew about, Abraham teaching the Hamites, teaching Mizraim. But this is much bigger than that. They'll give you a little bit of history, a little bit of information, but you really got to search for the rest of it. So look, thus we meet with it in Japan. The islands of the Pacific, Hindustan. So again, there's what you call India today. We had an influence on them too. That's why you think that they're the same, because our people were teaching them too. Asia Minor, Egypt, Greece, Equatorial Africa, North and South America, as well as in countries known to us as Central America, which in those times composed the Maya Empire. The seat of the government and residence of the rulers was the peninsula of Yucatan. Wherever found the name Maya is synonymous with power, wisdom, and learning. Is that not the same as today? We who are standing up in great boldness in front of all those that have oppressed us, we are pretty much exuding these types of things, right? Power, wisdom, and learning. So you think that power is all about just military might. We got the angels with us. Our angels can take down your military whenever they want to. That's scriptural. That's biblical. We've always had the angels with us when we are with our power. You don't believe it? Ask those Egyptians in the past. They thought they were badass too. And what did the Most High do to them? Brought them to their knees with plagues. Because that's what the Most High does. So they're going to bring you down already. He doesn't need other countries to do that. Most High going to do that himself. You're going to know it was him. You're not going to have to guess and think it was these other countries coming together against America. You're going to know it was our Father. You're going to know that it's payment for what you did to his children. So again, wherever found, the name Maya is synonymous with power, wisdom, and learning. You ain't learning here today? You ain't learning new stuff right here today? You Gentiles who are here trying to get content? You Israelites who are trying to get content as well? Because when you're aligned with the other nations, you are stuck only teaching what they tell you. Just like in a Catholic church, they got a missalette that they tell you what's going to happen, what they're going to teach all year long. You're in the exact same situation. That's why your breakdowns don't change, because you've already been told what you can and cannot talk about. You cannot. You still push that lie that these lands were discovered by Christopher Columbus and they didn't know anything about these lands. When that is not, there's going to be nothing be further from the truth. Your lands are in the position they are because we taught you. You didn't do anything on your own. You got your knowledge from the source, and the source are the Most High's people and our lands. So again, wherever found the name Maya is synonymous with power, wisdom, and learning. The existence of the Western continent was no more a mystery to the inhabitants of the countries bordering on the Mediterranean than to those whose shores are bathed by the waves of the Indian Ocean. Valmiki, in his beautiful epic, the Ramayana, says that in times so remote that the sun had not yet risen above the horizon, the Mayas, great navigators, terrible warriors, learned architects, conquered the southern part of the Indo-Chinese peninsula and established themselves there. Again, we were all over the world. They knew exactly who we are. That's why they work so hard to hide who we are now. But it ain't going to work anymore. That's why they're terrified when they see these people, this certain group of people stand up in great boldness. Because they know our history. They know what happens when the Most High turns his face back to us. They know what happens when the Most High empowers his people again. We have no need of having to come together with other nations to help us. They need us to help them. Come correct. We don't need any of you. You need us. You've always needed us. We are the light of the world. You are living in darkness until we bring you the light given to us by our power, brought to us by our Holy Spirit. That is our job. We are the priests of the world. So again, these people know. This is why they don't say anything. This is why they're all confederate with not telling us who we are. Oh no, you're African American. Oh no, because they don't want us to know. Because they know that once we find out who we are and we turn back to our power, it's a wrap for them. So again, the Mayas, great navigators, terrible warriors, learned architects, conquered the southern parts of the Indo-Chinese peninsula and established themselves there. In the classic authors, Greek and Latin, we find frequent mention of the great Saturnian continent, distant many thousands, stadia from the pillars of Hercules, toward the setting sun. Plutarch, in his Life of Solon, says that when the famed Greek legislator visited Egypt 600 years before the Christian era, Sonchis, a priest of Sais, also was it Xenophis, a priest of Heliopolis, told them that 9,000 years since, the relations of the Egyptians with the inhabitants of the lands of the West had been interrupted because of the mud that had made the sea impassable after the destruction of Atlantis by earthquakes. So we had been going back and forth, having contact, and then all of a sudden that stopped. But they knew who we were. And when the Romans came in, we're going to go in that later on, they wanted to be on top, so therefore they had to pretty much destroy any knowledge of the Mayans, so that they could take the place of the Mayans. So that people would think that the Romans were synonymous with power, wisdom, and learning, when nothing could be further from the truth. Because all they have is power. All they were given was a sword. They were never given wisdom, and they were never given learning. That's why they had to have the Inquisition. They would just torture people to death, because they couldn't reason with us, because we already knew who we were. That's why they were going after the Israelites, because they could not reason with us and make us believe that they were the top of the food chain. So that's why they had to kill us off, because we already knew that we are the top of the food chain when the Most High is with us. When we mess up, then we go to the bottom. But we knew that eventually we were going to finish serving our punishment and be moved back to the top. So all of this trying to put yourselves on top is pretty much just going to backfire on you, because eventually when we awaken, the whole world's going to see that you're not dealing with real knowledge. That the ones that are dealing with real knowledge are the Israelites that have been awakened with the Most High. Because they're going to bring a knowledge that you cannot contend with, which is exactly what you're seeing right now. The knowledge being brought here on this channel, through the power of the Most High and the Holy Spirit, you cannot contend with. All you can do is run. Run, Forrest, run. That's all you can do. You cannot stand toe-to-toe with anyone on this channel. You cannot stand toe-to-toe with the Most High's chosen people that have been awakened and restored back to their rightful positions. Positions of knowledge and understanding. You cannot contend, so you run and hide, which is what the Most High said you were going to do in the book of Enoch. So you get to play us for a while, get to take all of our gold and silver and beautiful things from our temples, and embellish your own for a time. But now your knowledge and understanding has been exposed that you have none. How much longer do you think the Most High is going to let you continue playing Mayans? How much longer do you think you're going to have playing us? Psalms 83. Ignoring facts. I'm going to venture to say, not very long. Thank you again to the Holy Spirit for bringing us back. Thank you for the Most High for sending us the Holy Spirit to bring us back. Let us know, Gentiles and other Israelites who have made a covenant with you Gentiles, when you want to stop running and stand up and defend your lies. Defend your information. Defend the lies you've been sending and spreading worldwide. All praise is Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who is wisdom? Who was the Holy Spirit? Acknowledge Yahweh. Shalom.